art, comedy, pop culture, and much more. ACPN.
Hey everybody, it's that time again. That's right. It's time for a Swimcast.
Yeah.
Tonight we are hosted by everyone's favorite, John J. McGalbo. Jason is here. I'm Trish. I'm here. And we have Ronnie from the Dancing is Forbidden podcast.
Hello.
I thought tonight was the dudes from North to Wharf.
North to Wharf?
I guess that's another night. Ronnie's good people. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
You should be.
You should be.
Well, as I understand it, we're talking about how kind of like our experiences with Aqua Teen, correct?
Yeah, that's exactly why we're having you here. And it's oddly enough on the 23rd anniversary of said show, on the 21st anniversary of a certain website that came out, and my nephew's birthday.
Oh my gosh. Is your nephew going to be on here tonight?
No, he probably has no idea what Aqua Teen is.
Patch him in. Let's show him for the first time.
Yeah, Jake, I have to show you something. A show that you'll probably never want to watch.
Get on Discord.
He'll be like, "What's Discord?"
What's that?
How old is he?
He's a teen.
Oh, okay. So he's old enough to join Discord.
Oh, yeah, he's not like 12 or anything, making random...
I think he's too old for Discord.
Random pictures. You're never too old for Discord. Even if you don't fully understand it. I'm like, what is computer?
Bash it. Just bash it to pieces.
Good.
All right.
Anyway.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say it's very serendipitous that we're here on Aqua Teen's 23rd birthday. And I want to say I'm excited to be here with you guys. Of course, thank you, John, for asking me to do this, because not only are you guys also big Aqua Teen fans, but all of us here have dedicated a portion of our lives to the show in one way or another. So I'm excited to see what we get into today.
Absolutely. We're just going to share stories and, talk about Aqua teams and things of that nature. Trish, let's start with your age-old question. I don't know, Ronnie, if you've ever watched the Swimcast or any of our interviews, but Trish has a very important question.
All right. Ronnie,
yes.
You cannot say a dead one. It is verboten. Just, you can't. And okay. I will explain after I ask the question and you answer it honestly. But you cannot say dead. So this is really important. This is why we start every interview with this question. What is your favorite kind of cat and why?
Well, I guess I would say a house cat, right? Like, could this include big cats?
Any kind of cat. Big cat, small cat, black cat, white cat.
I will say black cat because I have two black cats. So I'm going to have to represent my girls.
Oh, boy.
Billy and Jean here. And I'm going to have to do them proud on this podcast.
Ronnie, you have officially become kindred spirits with Trish.
I'm the black cat lady. I have 5.
Oh, my goodness.
And a calico. So 2 black cats and the calico live in our house. And the other 3 black cats are feral. They've lived on our property for over a year now. Like, they just showed up. It was a mama and her 2 kittens.
Aww.
And the kittens got big. They got so big, they're not little anymore. I don't know what to do with myself because they used to be so tiny.
Okay.
We're all getting bigger.
The whole dead cat thing was something that Dana had brought up when we first started the show.
Yeah.
and he basically was ranting about how there were feral cats in his backyard pooping all over the place, and how
3,000 pounds of feral cat shit
sinking his lawn in.
Yep. So yeah, that's why she's like, you can't say a dead cat.
Why is he mad? That's fertilizer. Free fertilizer for your grass.
Thank you.
I don't think it was grass. I think he had an alleyway that they were just randomly or arbitrarily shitting in.
Free fertilizer for your
concrete,
for your brick, or your concrete, or your asphalt, Dana.
Brick and stucco and feral cat shit.
Maybe he lives in like Charlie's apartment and It's Always Sunny, and Charlie's like, you gotta huff the glue and then eat the cat food and then go to sleep as fast as possible. Because otherwise the cats will start screaming and they don't stop until the morning.
Oh, Lord.
Nobody's seen that episode.
I totally have to catch up with that show. I've only watched like a handful of episodes.
You gotta
That's
watch
like
it in order.
It's like Archer to me, where now that Archer's done, I can finally catch up on episodes because even the last not the last season or the season before, but like every season before that, it was like, oh, cool, Archer's back. I'll watch a couple episodes and then I slide off because something else is going on.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's hard too when it's at like 10 o'clock on a Sunday.
That's what a DVR is for. Or
What's a DVR?
What's that?
What's that?
TiVo.
Anyway, Ronnie's not here for Archer. He's actually here for Aqua Teen because he has the Aqua Teen Hunger Force podcast. Tell us about that.
You make it sound like I've got competition here.
Well, I mean, explain how your podcast first, and I'll get into it.
Yes. Yeah, so my podcast is Dancing is Forbidden, and what I started doing was episode deep dives because I just wanted to go through the entire Aqua Teen episode on the podcast and just share anything I learned along the way because nobody else was doing that. I was surprised because, as you guys know, for sure, Aqua Teen is this huge show, but there's little communities here and there, but for whatever reason, like I was shocked to see it didn't have a podcast, like the subreddit. It's picking up more now, but even at the time, like it wasn't that used. So yeah, I started doing episode deep dives, and eventually I started to get so many questions that I could not find via Google that I started talking to the guys on the show and getting answers from them.
Awesome. So what I wanted to get at was,
cool.
Yeah. So 2007 we started the show, and God knows how we've continued it this long. It's kind of the Aqua Teen, I guess, of Adult Swim podcast, where we just just show up with 5 episodes here and there.
You gotta change your name once in a while, though.
Well, it's funny you should mention because originally the show was Aqua Teen Central Presents podcast invented for the internet.
Oh, okay.
So we tried to do Aqua Teen stuff. And because 2007, we only had the movie. There were no Aqua Teen episodes in 2007. I actually just looked it up. It was just the movie, and everything else was like Super Jail had just come out, Xavier had just come out, Drinky Crow had just come out. We had the first half of Frisky Dingo. We had one surprise episode of Perfect Hair. We had the first half of Metalocalypse Season 2. Lucy, the Daughter of the Devil. The final 2 episodes of Harvey Birdman aired.
All the bangers.
Yeah, all the bangers. Season 1 finale of Assy. Most of Season 2 of Boondocks. Robot Chicken. We had new shows, live action shows coming in. Fat Guy, Saul, Tim and Eric. So we had I think 2007 must have been the big year for variety of shows, except for Aqua Teen. So when we got around to doing the first 10 episodes of what was supposed to be the Aqua Teen show, we were talking about all these shows that are out, and we're like, well, why are we limiting ourselves to Aqua Teen? Mm-hmm. Because I think at the time there were only 50 episodes of Aqua Teen, and then plus the Boston incident had happened.
Oh, sure.
Which I don't know where you were at the time, but we were I was in the weeds talking to people at Aqua Teen about it, and they were like, no comment.
Oh.
Legally, we're not allowed to give a response to this.
So what was your take on Boston, or were you kind of before that or after that rather?
So I should say, well, first of all, I started my podcast in 2021, so I was aware that you guys had started an Aqua Teen podcast and you pivoted. There also was another Aqua Teen podcast that started up in 2014, 2016, but they did a couple episodes and stopped. So I don't mean to make it sound like I was the first person to do that, because I certainly was not. But with the Boston bomb scare, I guess it'd be easier if I just told you my history with Aqua Teen, I guess, because it was where I was in 2007.
Yeah, because that was number 6 on my list, was what made you decide the podcast, and I think we already answered that. Yeah, see, this is the show. I think Trish alluded to it. We're just going to bounce around and shoot the shit, and whatever happens. But yeah, when did you first find out about Aqua Teen, and what were your initial thoughts on the show?
Yeah, absolutely. So I discovered Aqua Teen because, I don't know, have you guys heard of this show called Family Guy? Are you familiar with this?
Oh, no. that indie show. Yeah, I think so.
It's kind of underground, so if you don't know it, I don't blame you.
Is it anything like the Cleveland show? Because I've seen every episode of the Cleveland show.
Yeah, it's like a spin-off of the Cleveland show.
Okay.
Cleveland's in some of the episodes of Family Guy, so...
Oh, whoa. I gotta watch it then.
Yeah. Well, that show, Family Guy, was on Fox, but it came to Adult Swim in 2003, and my parents were fans of adult animation, mostly Fox shows, so I grew up watching Simpsons, King of the Hill, Futurama, that kind of stuff. And then Family Guy came to Adult Swim, so my parents would put Adult Swim on for Family Guy, and then they'd fall asleep or go do something else, and I would keep watching it. And, I'd see shows like Brack Show, Space Ghost, C-Lab, shows like that. But because those shows, they kind of used a lot of older characters and animation, I never really vibed with them for some reason. I knew that it was older animation that they were repurposing. I don't know why. To me, it just didn't click. But Aqua Teen, as you know, was original. These were original characters, and everything about it was new. And for some reason, I just really responded to Aqua Teen, particularly Meatwad, because he was, at the time, I should say, I was, 9-10 years old.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so Meatwad was this kind of cartoony character. And also Aqua Teen, it does have a lot of adult humor, but it also could appeal to a kid in certain ways. So I got into it because of that. I don't remember exactly when I got into it, but I know that I had a conversation with a kid in the first couple months of 5th grade about it. We both knew what it was, and I had this distinct understanding that Aqua Teen was kind of underground as opposed to something like The Simpsons, so I thought that was cool. And also, Aqua Teen, my parents didn't really like it. So this was one of the first things that I got into that my parents weren't, also fans of. So it was kind of important to me because of that. It was kind of me becoming, my own person in a way. But this was, 2004 at this point. And I was a big fan. I ended up buying... I grew up poor, so I didn't have cable a lot of the time. But I saved up, my Christmas money that I got from family and bought 2 of the DVDs, the volume 2 and 3, so that's the second season of the show.
Oh, nice.
And so I'd watch those on repeat over and over and over again for basically a year until about late-ish 2006, 2007. I remember just kind of moving on towards internet stuff at that point, watching Salad Fingers and stuff like that, and getting into that side of things.
I love Salad Fingers. My husband hates it, but I love it.
I should say, David Firth, the guy who does that, he does more traditional comedy too. Not all of his stuff is that weird. He has some really absurdist stuff like Aqua Teen, some Dadaist stuff too, which I think I was probably more drawn to than something like Salad Fingers, as much as I loved that. But my point being, to your question, come 2007, I had just gotten my first girlfriend. I was 13 at the time. And I kind of stopped, I had seen my Aqua Teen DVDs a bunch of times, so I was kind of over those episodes. And like you said, in 2007, they weren't really airing new episodes anymore.
Yeah.
So I kind of fell off from it. So I actually, when the film came out, I wasn't even aware that it came out. And same thing with the Boston incident. I just was not paying attention to anything other than what was happening on MySpace at that time. So I missed Boston, but I would love to hear kind of how you guys got into it, because like I said, I was 10, but I know that you were a little bit more of an appropriate age to get into Aqua Teen.
Well, I don't think it's a secret, although people have up-aged me, but I'm 42 now. A friend of mine keeps saying, "You were a baby when Aqua Teen came out." I was like 19. I was in college, and I've told the story a number of times, but I'll tell it again. I spent a lot of my weekends at my grandparents because there was a lot. It was a lot mentally to stay where I was with my father and my stepmom for reasons I won't go into, because that's a mental health podcast right there. But my grandparents were in Brooklyn, and they were the first place to have Cartoon Network. And I think towards the end of high school, going into college, I was a bit of a late night guy. I hate mornings. I'm a night guy.
You're up until like 4 a.m. every night.
Yeah, so I'd watch Gary Coleman and Banana Splits and whatever else was on at night. Oh Canada, and Space Ghost was on, I think, most weekends late at night. So then,
shout out real quick to Oh Canada.
Yeah, so 23 years ago today, I was in Brooklyn. I was it's 8 o'clock right now, but so in like 4 or 5 hours from now, 23 years ago, I was sitting there flipping through channels, flipping the Cartoon Network to see what's on, and I'm like, what is this? This milkshake is causing all kinds of havoc, and I gravitated to it because of that quote unquote Dadaism, and this total insanity of it's supposed to be a show about detectives, but it's not a show about detectives. They're out of work, and they're doing all this other crazy stuff, and it's like, whoa. This is how I got into Aqua Teen. And then I had a site based on Mystery Science Theater that wasn't going anywhere. And when the episode started airing, I just started doing like a couple of screenshots. And I think I put it online, I had done a college project on my first website. It's kind of the precursor to Aqua Teen Central. And
wow,
there was like no merchandise at the time. I think Cartoon Network was selling like one t-shirt with the three of them on it. So I like put that up. I pretended to put DVDs up because the DVDs weren't out for a few years.
Right. Yeah.
And from there, just, that, I don't know. It's a totally long story from there. I'm sure it'll be told more in depth at some point. And maybe that's a whole podcast to itself, is just going through the history of Aqua Teen Adult Swim Central.
maybe next year for the 21st birthday or 22nd birthday of
we don't have to wait that long, but
okay,
we'll see.
Maybe sometime next year though.
Maybe.
Hopefully not in like August. Hopefully before then.
What about you, Trish?
Aqua Teen, it's because of Aqua Teen that I have some of my best friends. Like, I saw this show and I thought it was like amazing. Like, somebody got me, like somebody finally understood what I needed to watch. And I've watched so much TV. TV is why I don't have a Baltimore accent very much. But it was so amazing. Like, and I love C Lab 2021 and everything. And I used to watch, like John used to do, Oh Canada every weekend and everything. And I was a night owl. Right now it's like our plans for New Year's tomorrow are stay up until 9, celebrate East Coast, and then go to bed. But there will be champagne involved, so it's all good. But and then I was kind of dating this guy, and he got me into this site athf.com, and I just made so many friends like immediately, and I became a moderator on the forum, and they had Ask the Aqua Teens, so I would fill in as Frylock, and then I met this one guy, Ether, and he was pretty cool. We talked about abortion a lot, and
wow.
And one day I messaged him on AIM, and we talked for 14 hours, and 21 years later, I think, we're married. We've been married
Aw.
for 13 years. So that's pretty cool. I also, and then one day this guy comes on the forum and he's like, hey, I'm not trying to steal your thunder. This is number 2 in the hood. This is aquateenscentral.com. And I'm like, okay, this guy's pretty cool. So like I start talking to him and I join his forum. And then I meet this like super hot gothy chick who's like, fuck you guys. Don't make fun of how short I am. I mean, she didn't say that until, we met her in person. But so I have like 2 of my best friends because of Aqua Teen, and I have a husband because of Aqua Teen. It just always, and Carl, there was something about Carl. Like,
She loves Carl.
I fucking love Carl. I don't know what it is. Like, I'm super like feminist and like, equal rights for everybody. Don't treat me like an object. I mean, Adam can, obviously, because he's my husband, and that's always fun. But like, I'm like, what a pig. But I fucking love him.
He knows what he wants.
Yeah, and I almost got a tattoo that says, "It don't matter. None of this matters." To remind myself in times of high anxiety that it really don't fucking matter. None of this matters. Get out of my freaking car. Get out of my freaking pool. So, I don't know. Aqua Teen is like, it means a lot to me. Like, a whole lot. And it's like almost a spiritual thing for me because of how it's impacted my life so much. And I've gotten to meet like my heroes. Like I've talked to Dave, and Dave talks like Carl, and I just die every time he does that. And I've talked to Matt. I've met Todd Redner in person. He gave me a custom drawing.
Aw. What was it?
It was Master Shake dressed up as a cop. And I was like, did John tell you my grandfather was a police officer? And he was like, no. And I was like, you don't know how much this means to me.
Aw.
Because it's like 2 of my worlds combined. I won't get into my grandfather. He was the best. But that's, like John said, another day for mental health.
That's the mental health cast that we don't have.
Yeah, we need to do that. We do.
No, we don't.
It's just the 2 of us ranting about childhood traumas.
Oh Lord, that'll be like a 5-hour episode podcast at a time podcast.
Yes, Adam would never listen.
It'll be cathartic, but it'll be a podcast.
Yeah, no, let's not. Let's
Oh,
not and
Lord.
say we didn't.
True. Jason,
But,
how
yeah.
about you?
Jason.
When it first aired, I was in elementary school. I will say that. Like 23 years ago, I was in 4th grade. I'm pretty sure. I didn't see the show until I was in high school. I don't think. A friend of mine had the DVDs, and we ended up watching that and like a ton of Family Guy DVDs and shit. I knew about Swim. I wasn't allowed to watch it yet, except for like the few times I convinced my grandparents to let me watch it when they were watching us and stuff. But like growing up, all I watched Cartoon Network, I watched Nickelodeon, and then I watched with family, and not just tons of Simpsons and King of the Hill, The Critic, all the Fox animated series. I was always a huge fan of those, so I just sort of grew up with a lot of adult animation and just sort of all of those great years of 90s and 2000s animation. So when I eventually did get to like Aqua Teen and Swim, it just sort of became another addition to that collection, I guess. But it was also a gateway to the whole network, which I love and adore so much. And I remember I saw the movie in theaters. I remember I also, we talked about Boston. I remember seeing that on the morning news in here in New York City. I remember the day that when it happened. I saw it on the morning news, and I thought it was hilarious seeing a Moonanite right on TV. And then they were them acting all serious about it and shit. I was like, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. And I got to see the movie in theaters. I convinced one of my classmates, one of my friends, to come with me. And I remember there was maybe us and like 2 or 3 other people in the entire theater. And I remember vividly the moment Carl comes on screen, one guy in the back of the theater just screaming and cheering for Carl.
That was me.
That was Trish, yeah.
That was me.
Yeah. I think I found John, and I found the site, probably, was it through the Adult Swim boards? I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, I used to pop in and out of the Adult Swim boards. I think towards the end, it wasn't really favorable to me.
Yeah.
But I used to pop in.
Like, because of the boards, I wound up meeting you and everybody, and then I wound up here and
meeting you at the Dave and Dana show.
Yeah, and the Aqua Teen live show.
That was so much fun.
That was such a fun night. That was a fun show. I'm mad about that venue's existence right now, but that's an entirely different situation.
Well, that's an amalgamation
the venue's
of
existence. What is it, like the White Power Center or something?
No, it's fucking quick version of it. There's a Japanese pop singer I want to go see live, and they picked the smallest venue in New York City, and it's the same theater that they put the Aqua Teen live show in, which feels like the theater that you would put like a taping of the Daily Show in.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it's not very big.
Seats.
Oh, okay.
2,000 seats for somebody that'll fill out a fucking 15,000 seater in fucking Japan. But
Is it the one guy from that one band, John
No.
Cook?
No, I don't know who that is.
He did that song with Charlie Puth.
I barely know who Charlie Puth is.
Oh my god!
Same.
What is the song?
Radio.
I listen to it all the time.
Okay,
I haven't listened to the radio in
I'm
a
too
while.
old.
But yes,
Yeah.
You know, this is that's how I got to here and Aqua Teen and everything like that. Adult Swim is great and I love it, and it will always mean a lot to me, even if I'm not watching it a ton these days.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question for Ronnie and Jason, both of you then. Because for me, I watched it as an adult and I was like, this is adult humor, I get this. How did ATHF shape your childhood? Like, what, like, did it change who you gravitated towards in, cliques and friend groups, or, did it kind of like make you think like, okay, maybe I want to do this when I, graduate high school or college or whatever, so that I can be impactful in the same way as Carl. Maybe invent a magical machine that will make everything bigger, and then you can have a huge penis and eat the crabs that come out of your underwear.
Well, I was trying to do that before Aqua Teen, so that didn't influence that decision. Well, I want to say, first of all,
disturbing.
I'm like, your guys' experience was different than mine because I was so young. Like, I did talk to a kid at school about Aqua Teen, and then growing up, a lot of my friends did like Aqua Teen, but we didn't talk about it a lot. But, like, it seems like you guys made a lot of friends because of it, and that was not my experience growing up with it. It actually, I felt kind of isolated, like, oh, nobody else knows what this show is. I don't have a whole lot of people to talk with this show about, which is also kind of why I started the podcast. And obviously now I've got, like I've got you guys and I've got tons of other people that love this show.
Right.
But in terms of like how I don't know that it influenced my sense of humor. Absolutely. 100%. Like doing the podcast now as an adult, I'm 30 now. And it's like, I'll see an episode for the podcast that I haven't seen in like 15 years. And be like, holy shit, I still structured jokes that exact same way as this joke in this episode that I saw growing up. Like, I don't realize I'm doing it. So it certainly, like, influenced my sense of humor, which I think is a lot of, like, who I am as a person. And it also, like, I went on to love Tim and Eric, for example, and I don't know if I ever would have gotten into that if it wasn't for Aqua Teen priming me for that kind of humor. They're not exactly the same, of course, but
Right.
they're
somewhat similar.
They have
both
kind of yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say they have a history because they bounced off of Aqua Teen, and that's how they were able to. I don't know if you ever heard the story about Odenkirk.
I know I've heard that like Dave is the one that got them on Adult Swim. Like he's the one who passed their tape on.
Yeah, because apparently, from what I know, Odenkirk had called Dave, and he didn't believe it was really Odenkirk at first, but
right,
yada yada. That was because Odenkirk is their producer on the first couple of shows.
Right. Well, also Tim and Eric, both of their first television appearance was on Aqua Teen. It was the Hypnogerm episode.
Right.
Was the first time because that premiered before Tom Goes to the Mayor did. So that was their first TV. But like I said, the show certainly influenced my sense of humor. I'd be interested to hear what Jason has to say.
I have a similar sentiment. I mean, it wasn't really so much of a thing for me growing up because I did find it in high school. I don't remember exactly when, but like growing up too, I was watching a lot of The Simpsons and a lot of The Critic, a lot of King of the Hill. I watched Family Guy when it first came out. I was into all of that stuff before I even got to Aqua Teen. And I found out about it because of somebody that I was hanging out with, who knew about it, who was already watching it, who had like DVDs and stuff. So like it was part of like a friend group I was already in because we all drew stuff and we all watched tons of cartoons and stuff like that. But then finding it and then watching it, it definitely did shape like my sense of humor and like what I was going to get into. Because same way, I think if not for getting into Aqua Teen, I probably never would have gotten into things like Tim and Eric or things like, Xavier and everything else that's on adults. So everything else that I watched, like even like 12 Ounce Mouse and stuff like that. If I never would have found that stuff and I never would have gotten into it if not for getting into Aqua Teen first. So like similar, thing there. It did definitely shape my sense of humor, the things I find funny, the jokes I'll make and stuff like that. And a lot of that I have to thank Aqua Teen and Adult Swim for.
I think, and I've said this in different places, that Space Ghost was kind of the granddaddy of them all. But I think for maybe the younger audience, Aqua Teen was kind of the gateway drug, so to speak.
I want to say, because I remember seeing Space Ghost around that time when I was a kid and being fundamentally aware that the kind of jokes they were making, in my mind, it was just grown-up humor. And so I instantly wasn't interested in it because I was like, this is for adults. I'm too young for this, because Space Ghost was very just wordplay heavy and just a little too maybe Dadaist for me at that time. But Aqua Teen, like, kind of made it a bit more presentable in a way, which now I fucking love Space Ghost. But at the time when I was a kid, it didn't appeal to me, but Aqua Teen certainly did.
Did you watch...
Sorry.
Either way. I was just going to say... Oh.
Go ahead.
Okay. Did you watch Cartoon Planet, or were you too young for that? Because I don't remember when it was on. I think it was like 96.
I don't remember. I must have been... I certainly watched Cartoon Network, but like Cartoon Planet, I don't remember like any of that. So it's possible maybe I saw it if I like randomly caught it at some point, but no, I don't remember.
There was a lot of Brack. There was a lot of Brack. It was so good.
It's funny that that's what you were going to say, because that's actually what I was going to bring up too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I watched a lot of Cartoon Planet when I was younger. When it was still airing, when it was still on Cartoon Network, and I know that because I vividly remember watching. I vividly remember loving Brack and Zorak and Space Ghost and the songs, and I had the musical Barbecue soundtrack on cassette. And I listened to that so much that the tape got warped when I was younger.
Oh,
so that, I guess, probably primed me a little bit for being into Adult Swim stuff eventually. Yeah,
I think TBS had aired it from time to time right before I started seeing it on Cartoon Network. And that was a whole other thing, because I knew who Space Ghost was, but I didn't know the other characters.
Yeah.
It was interesting, and also a gateway kind of thing. So Ronnie, going back to Aqua Teen, what are your favorite episodes that you can, at least your top 3 or 3 in general, that you can
sure. Well, going off of number 3, I would say it's probably MCP Pants.
Classic.
Right, it's just a classic episode. Like, I like that you have Meatwad and Carl getting along in that one. Like, they're hanging out throughout a portion of the episode. Frylock actually kind of solves a mystery in this one. Like, he figures out what MCP Pants is up to. And just, like, I mean, I feel like any fan of Aqua Teen, I don't need to explain why MCP Pants is a great episode. But, like, just MC Chris is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just, I think it's a great episode to show people for the first time who aren't that familiar with Aqua Teen. And also, I'm a musician, so anytime, like, a part of the reason I loved Aqua Teen was all the music jokes in it. And I feel like we definitely get that with something like MCP Pants.
That's true.
In second place, I would say Total Recall, because growing up, I always loved that one, and it's just another solid episode, right? Like, a lot of Aqua Teen episodes rely on Carl getting fucked over, and and Total Recall is like this grandiose fucking over of Carl, of course, with the super toilet and everything. And there's that whole classic intro of Frylock kind of trying to get Carl to answer the door, and then he locks Carl out of his own house so that he has to take a shit outside. Like, it's just great from beginning to end. And then my favorite episode, which I think is maybe not a super popular episode, but Kidney Car, when they are trying to fix up Carl's car, basically, that Meatwad gets from the Kidney Foundation. And I think I like that one because it's the 3 characters hanging out. Carl pops in occasionally, but it's just the 3 characters. There's no villain. There's really not that much drama in the episode. It's just like Shake and Meatwad keep fucking around, and Frylock can't help them fix the car. So, like, I guess around the time that I would have been watching that episode, I wasn't bullied in school or anything like that. Like, I had friends in school, but I wasn't hanging out with people outside of school. But in a way, I was kind of like hanging out with the Aqua Teens because I was always watching those DVDs. So I think that episode is like a great example of, like, they're just hanging out trying to fix up a car, but they don't know how. Like, that's the entire episode.
That's funny.
So it's a bit of a sentimental pick for me.
Can I ask you a question? Why was the second Moonanites episode with the Foreigner belt not on that list if you're a musician?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. I think classic rock is, like, I get all the references they're making, but that's not like the music that means a ton to me. Like, for example, in Super Sirloin, Meatwad gives up rap and he like puts on like this like corpse paint, and he's like, yeah, I listen to bands like Iron Maiden now. I liked that a lot because I liked Iron Maiden as a kid. But I guess the bands in Revenge of the Moonanites aren't my favorite bands, I guess.
Okay,
I didn't grow up with that episode, so.
See, that's my favorite of all time. And I grew up listening to Foreigner in the background, but after that, I put Foreigner on all my fucking mix CDs. I was like, Waiting for a Girl Like You, Cold as Ice, you
They're
know.
good songs, yeah.
Hot-blooded.
Hot-blooded.
You know what's
Games.
You know what's hysterical is I had no idea most of the bands that they were referencing, and then I got Sirius XM. Well, it was Sirius still at the time for Christmas, and got really into now it's Ozzy's Boneyard. It used to be Buzzsaw, and all the bands that they referenced in Aqua Teen episodes. So.
Yes.
Foreigner, Scorpions.
Yep.
I don't know.
Bryan Adams.
No. No, not Bryan Adams. No, it was like all the hair metal bands, all of the rock bands.
Yes.
And it's like this channel, like Aqua Teen trained me to know these bands and these channels.
Yes. Yeah. Well, because like my parents were into a lot of that music, so I guess I would give honorable mention to Spirit Journey Formation Anniversary because like I knew who Zakk Wylde was as a kid. So like when he's on this fucking episode, it's like, what the hell is like how do they have these exact people that I like just happen to know as a kid?
And Danzig.
Yeah, and like Danzig too. Yeah.
There's a poster I have, and I guess this will segue into the next question that I have, but I got it from Radical Access when that was still a studio, and I had Todd had Matt and Dave sign it. But there's 3 characters that are missing, and they're all rock guys because I guess they didn't want their likeness. So it's Zakk Wylde, Danzig, and Nugent.
Oh, sure,
But it's like all the other like every other character from the first 100 episodes.
Right.
But it's
That's
hysterical.
so
It's like these 3 guys are the ones that are like, no, I don't want to be on this poster.
I guess it's because it's like kind of based on actual people, so I get why.
But Chickenfoot is on it.
Oh, good point. Maybe like, I mean, this is in the weeds, but maybe they had them sign some kind of contract at the time that allowed them to like repurpose it while they didn't with the other guys because that was earlier on.
Maybe. I don't know. I just think maybe Chickenfoot is more down to earth. Like
I could see that. Yeah.
I could see Sammy Hagar being a cool dude and everything, and everyone else from that band, and then Nuge and Danzig and Zakk Wylde just being like, "You gotta pay me more."
Yeah, I could see Danzig for sure being like that. Like I was just reading about like toxic musicians the other day, and I was reading about Danzig. He got brought up a lot, how he's an asshole to work with, I guess. So.
And probably the whole thing where he got his ass knocked out.
Yes.
I had done some homework on that a while ago.
His song "Mother" though is slaps. I will stand by
He's
that.
got some good bangers.
Yeah, he does.
So on that note about my poster, do you have any items, any favorite Aqua Teen related items that you've purchased or received?
Oh. I mean, like, the examples I could give, like, for example, Dave sent me a script from Colon Movie Film, and he wrote something really nice on it in regards to the podcast. So, like, I guess that, but, like, I guess I would go with that. In terms of, like, pure item, I would go, Dave sent me, like, a blow-up Meatwad doll. Like or not a doll, but like
beach
a
ball?
It's kind of like, yeah. You probably know what it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
I like that.
I had that, but it ended up dying.
Yeah. Mine wouldn't stay inflated for the longest time, but I got it set in a spot now where it's fine. So I don't know. I guess they're kind of touchy.
Yeah. They I can't. They have some cool merchandise that a lot of it lasts. Just not the inflatables. Probably not so much.
Yeah, like I understand why. It's obviously, and plus I don't know how old these are at this point. Probably almost 10 years old. It's like how long are they supposed to stay intact? You know.
True.
So that kind of segues us into another question. How did you first get in touch with Matt and Dave? I mean, like, I don't know how to get in touch with them.
I used to.
We met at the Men's Tickle Club in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh
where
my!
Men can go to tickle each other. No, I met Matt through Dave. I met Dave just really on Twitter. He posted about a political candidate. This was after I was doing the podcast, so I'd been doing the podcast for over a year at this point. I had MC Chris, Jay Edwards, and Nick Gibbons on the show.
Oh,
we love Nick.
Yeah, all really nice guys.
Where's his sound clip? Oh, here's his sound clip.
SECC, which stands for Suck Dick Cock Cock.
So yeah, it was on Twitter with Dave. Really, was that MC Chris who was saying that?
No, that was Nick Gibbons. He's a friend. He's a friend of the show.
Oh yeah, that was Nick. Okay,
For some reason, I met him. He was like he wasn't an intern. He was like a PA for Radical Access. And he's just an
right.
awesome guy. I'm sure you know already. But
Yeah, super
he's
nice.
He's a friend of the show, along with Todd Redner and a couple other people. But early on, we had a lot of them on as guests, and I think that was from our first Swimmy episode where we used to pretend to do award shows. Mm-hmm. and that was like the best event of the year or something. And that was San Diego Comic-Con, so it's just like SDCC, which stands for Suck Dick Duck Cock.
That's so funny. Nick's always doing crazy shit. Like, he has so many funny just like YouTube videos he uploads and stuff.
Oh yeah, and he said I was like, because with ACPN, which is our comedy pop culture stuff, I was like looking for video content to run throughout the weekends, and he's like, sure, take some of mine.
Oh wow, that's so cool.
He's got some really cool, like his bowling alley.
Dark Alley, yeah.
Dark Alley. Oh my god, I want to watch that. Like, every time I've watched it, I've gotten so sucked into it, and then I'm like, great, this isn't ever gonna fucking air on TV, even though it's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Yeah,
oh no, I've seen a teeny bit of it.
He tried he had a Kickstarter out where he did the first episode and was hoping to sell the pilot somewhere, but like everything else, it didn't pan out.
Right. That's like one of the biggest things I've learned from doing this podcast, because I'm not like a TV guy, is how all of these brilliant guys have so much great stuff that they just cannot get like greenlit. I'm like, dude, that sounds horrible. I would kill myself if I was fucking doing that. Getting rejected so many times on these like brilliant ideas.
Yep.
But to answer your question, Trish, basically with Dave, so like I said, I've been doing the podcast for a little bit, and then I would like tweet at him here and there, and he would never like see it or respond or anything. And then one day he posted about supporting a political candidate, and it just so happened to be a candidate that I supported as well. So I was like, hey, I'll donate $200 to that candidate if you come on my podcast and let me interview you.
Huh.
And then he was like, oh, sure. And then I guess, like, we did the interview. He went back and listened to it. He really liked it. So then, out of nowhere, he's like, hey, do you want to have Matt on your podcast? And I was like, are you kidding me? Because, like, Matt doesn't really do podcasts.
No, he doesn't.
No, he's one of the guys we've never had on the show. We've had Dave, we've had Dana.
I've had Matt on the video.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did a convention. He did is it Anaheim?
He did WonderCon.
Before it went to Anaheim, where was it? In San Francisco, Trish?
Yeah, I would not go to Anaheim for anything.
No, well,
ever.
that's too far away from you.
Yeah, San Francisco's really far away now, but at the time, I was living in the Bay Area. We were like, I don't know, like an hour away, and we took the train, and it was a lot of fun. We almost missed the train getting Indian food going home, but we made it. So, but that's really cool, and I really hope the political candidate was a good person and not Dr. Oz.
Yeah, no, his name was Donald Trump. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Oh, okay, he's great.
That independent guy.
Yeah, he's independent, and Dave's like, send him all your money. I said, all right, Dave, I'll do it, but you got to come on my podcast.
Nice.
But it's just been a shock, because I thought that I would interview Dave and that would be it. I thought I'd never talk to him again. But they've both been super receptive to answering any questions I have about Aqua Teen for my podcast. And like, they've both even just offered to come on at certain points.
That's wow.
Like when I was covering Dirtfoot, I asked Dave, I was like, hey, your grandmother was in this episode. I had some questions for him. And he's like, oh, why don't I just come on and talk with you about it? Because he didn't want to just respond about his grandmother over email. So yeah, I've been very lucky, and they've definitely made my podcast a lot better because I could get actual information and answers from them, as opposed to my best guess on things.
Yeah, and it's really cool that you have the access to them, because I was listening to the Hand Banana episode, and I'm like, wow, this is really cool, because it's like from their personal perspectives, and then you can go ahead and discuss the episode afterwards, and an insight that you have.
Right. Yeah. No, when I started the podcast, I did not think that I would get to like know any of the. I didn't think they'd even know about the podcast, and if they did, I didn't think they would care. But it's been absolutely the opposite. Yeah, no, and that makes me love the show so much more. I mean, as you know, John, like how much these guys like love their fans, they love the show, and they just are ecstatic that people love it as much as they love making it.
Absolutely. I was just going to say, when I started Aqua Teen Central, I had no idea what I was doing with it. And then I'm hearing that Matt and Dave love the show, that Ned loves the show, and everyone else who's involved in the show is like loving it. And
Todd, remember, he used to listen to us while he animated.
Yeah, well, and Todd had emailed me out of nowhere, and Craig Harton had emailed me out of nowhere saying, we animate the show, and here's some information about the Simpsons commercial that we were commissioned on, and things of that nature. And then more recently, someone had mentioned to me, you guys were the first ones to actually give us, like, I guess for lack of a better word, signal boost, where we were doing, I think the exact quote is we were doing more with Aqua Teen Central than Adult Swim was actually doing as far as promoting the show.
Right.
Which that's amazing to me, and it was really heartwarming, and that's part of why I brought Adult Swim Central back, because it's about the fans.
And John, like, because you told me that at one point that one of the Aqua Teen crew members said that to you, and like I kind of internalized that in a way. To me, that was a much appreciated bit of information to share, because I'm like, I didn't start my podcast to like do free advertising for Adult Swim. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
They have money. Like, obviously they're not like super rich, but they could afford to pay you, John. They could afford to pay me for what we're doing, and they don't. So it's kind of like, all right, like if I feel like posting about, hey, like new episode or whatever, I will. But it's easy to fall into it thinking like, oh, I have to do everything to promote Aqua Teen. But it's like, well, no, I'm doing a free job for Adult Swim at that point. So to me, it helps me just like, no, I should stick to what I enjoy doing and why I started this podcast and like why my listeners listen, as opposed to just trying to be like Adult Swim's unofficial marketing arm, because like obviously they'll take that for free all day, but like neither you nor I are in a position to necessarily do that for free. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I agree with that. I mean, we've been doing this show for 17 years, I think. And the only reason we don't do it more frequently is because, one, we don't watch the network that much. And number two, we don't have a lot of guests. And that's not for, well, it is kind of for lack of trying, because I got a little inhibited with press, where I guess I'm more on the news end now. And I don't want to anger anyone at news. But at the same time, I'm like, we're not getting anyone. Maybe I should just throw someone $200 to their candidate and say, come on my podcast. I mean, I'm sure I could reach out to Dave or whoever. I mean, I have some ideas I'm throwing around where I think it was just at the time that I was, I guess for lack of a better word, yelled at. It was just
yelled at.
Yeah, because we were doing some press for New York Comic Con, and the person was like, oh, you should get in touch with Adult Swim PR. And PR called me back and was like, why are you going over our heads? And I'm like, this is the first time in 10 years that I was aware that I had to do anything through you.
What? Yeah, that's interesting.
And it got to a point where I'm like, well, I'm not going to reach out to anyone directly because I don't want to get yelled at again. But maybe it's gotten to the point where maybe I have to reach out to people and be like, hey, want to be on our show again? Because we really don't watch the shows that much anymore.
Right, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I've watched a chunk of shows, but like we got to the point where, and I've said this a number of times on the last few episodes, where it'll be like, oh, did you watch this show? No. Did you? No. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I just want to say I watch Adult Swim every night.
Oh shit.
I watch it, but it's mostly the rerun stuff and some.
Yeah,
of the
I mean,
new stuff.
I don't stay up late. Like I'll watch the new seasons that come on at 11:30, but it's because on Hulu Live I get East Coast times.
Oh, that's nice.
Aha.
Yeah.
'Cause you're on the West Coast, right, Trish?
Yeah, I'm from Maryland originally, the correct state and the correct coast. But I moved out here for some guy because I like the D.
Wow.
Committed to the D.
Committed to the D.
I'll travel anywhere to the ends of the earth.
Just to get me some of that D.
Some of that sweet D.
The tenacious D.
No.
I moved here for Jack Black. Jack Black lives over here, so I had to move out here too. This is my only option.
Good. Speaking of Adult Swim in general, Ronnie, what are your other favorite Adult Swim shows? I know you name dropped Tim and Eric before. I don't know if that's
yeah. Well, while I watched Adult Swim, it literally would have been like Family Guy. I really loved Metalocalypse when that came out because I was a big black and death metal fan at that time. So that like meant a lot to me to have a show like that on the air was insane. Otherwise, yeah, like Tim and Eric is like the whole Tim and Eric universe. I love everything that they've done. Like Steve Brule is probably my second favorite show on Adult Swim.
Oh God, yes.
You dangus.
So I love. Xavier is one that I really, really, really love.
That's such a warped show, but it's still, it's probably in my top 10, I'm sure.
Yeah, I loved Xavier or Xavier.
I came to that late. I actually found out about that because fucking Will Arnett shouted it out on Mark Maron's podcast.
Wow.
He's like, yeah, this show on Adult Swim called Xavier. It's just so crazy. And I'm like, that sounds interesting. And I watched it and I'm like, oh my God, this is almost like a continuation of Aqua Teen in a way because it was just so Dadaist and like, what the fuck is happening? But there was still a through line to it in a way that like Aqua Teen did.
Yeah.
But you know what it was lacking?
What's that?
The D?
Carl.
Oh.
That's all they needed. That's all these other Adult Swim shows need, and that's my problem with them.
Yes.
Is like Tuca and Birdie, there's no Carl in it. So why
Right?
the fuck am I gonna watch that shit?
Now I have to bring up to you, and this is a little off topic, but do you remember Carl's weekly prediction
His
of
like
football
block of
for the
week of the whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Old lock of the week.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I didn't
Can we
see that when it
just-
was airing. I just knew about it after I started my podcast.
Oh my God, Carl. So my best friend was really into football because the guy he was with was into football. He hates it now. He's like, I don't give a shit. But anyway, so he was having a Super Bowl party, and I was the only person there who wanted the Giants to win because it was Carl.
Oh yes, of course.
And I kept screaming, "Go Nats! Go Nats!" And nobody got the joke.
See, I'm a Giants fan, and I like football, and I want a Nats jersey really badly.
I know.
Like I've been trying to figure out a place that I could just get a Nats jersey made.
It's an
Yeah.
opportunity.
You know, Fly Dongus, I could probably give you the website we use for our information or our swag.
Sure.
Isn't Fly Dongus an airline? Isn't that
It is an
they
airline.
sell swag as well?
Of course we
You
sell
guys are
swag.
What else do you guys sell?
Hats. They sell hats, I know that much. And stickers.
I mean, if I told you, you know, you
What kind of food do you guys have on Fly Dongus? Like if I'm
Oh my
flying
God,
first class-
it's so funny you ask that. we have a huge seafood buffet.
Oh, yes.
And the photos for it were created by AI. So let me tell you what we have. We have fish that is orange.
Yes.
We have more orange in some weird shape.
Yum.
God, I can't remember
do you
what
have
else is
pizza
on.
nuggets?
No.
Aw.
Oh, I gotta put those on my shopping list.
Pizza
Pizza
nuggets.
nuggets shaped like fish.
Pizza nuggets turn you into pizza monsters, according to that AI video.
There was a lot of orange, but let me tell you, it's a full seafood buffet. And you know what? I'll get more into it at the end of the show when we say our sponsors, because Dongus Airlines, like, you cannot go wrong with Dongus. Your life is literally in our hands, and we know it.
Now, I have a question for the Dongus representative here. See, now,
Yeah.
seafood gives me rangus, hot brown rain. What's your bathroom situation like on those airlines when I'm 1,000 feet in the air?
We have plentiful bathrooms,
How many?
like 10, but
Great.
you have to be under 3 feet tall
Perfect.
and less than 50 pounds to get in.
All right. I'm 2'7" and I'm 42 pounds, so I think
Perfect. You will make so many Orangus shit in Dongus Airlines airplanes. Like, it will just be marvelous. But we have to move on with the podcast. We will get back to Dongus at the end of the show. I promise.
that was a free plug.
Yeah.
Free plug.
I want to
for the
also, I want to shout out to Home Movies was a show I loved a lot growing up.
Yes.
And now Space Ghost I love like so much.
Oh yeah,
It's
Space
amazing.
Ghost again, the granddaddy. Home movies. If there was no home movies, we wouldn't have Bob's Burgers.
No, we wouldn't.
And going back to Xavier, Xavier is PFR, and their stuff is like all over Adult Swim. Like you can't.
But
not
they
go
came
to
out
some
with
show.
Teenage Euthanasia recently.
Right. I was gonna say
That was a very
Teenage
good show.
Euthanasia, Archie Holler, Delocated, Neon Joe, Xavier.
Oh, Delocated I love too.
I mean,
Delocated is so funny.
It's not Swim, but Wonder Chosen.
Wonder Shows, and yes,
That show's
that was
crazy.
one of my favorites.
That was my introduction to PFR, and I love it.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah, just great shows all around.
Ronnie, that's all the questions we have for you. You can get the fuck off our show now, if you please.
Wow.
All right, guys. I gotta catch a flight on Dongus Airlines, so I had to.
Don't
go
worry, we'll hold the plane for you.
Hold the plane
Stay,
and fucking
stay.
hold the bathroom because I'm coming.
Okay, I guess that's where we take a quick commercial break, and we'll come back and do the year-ish in review, probably speed round.
Oh, good, because I really have to pee.
Okay, go pee. You're,
Okay.
you're allowed.
Is this
I will pee.
a certified pisser break?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
certified.
it's a pee break, everybody. We'll
Pee,
be,
pee, pee,
we'll
pee,
be right
pee.
back.
You guys, we got to get going because I think my bra just broke.
Oh no.
I've got 29 minutes now that this bra is broken. we gotta
no.
get moving.
I'm gonna die.
Well-
It hurts.
I won't say
Oh.
what just happened there, but we're back.
My bra's broken.
Well, I wasn't going to say that, but we have
My
Hey,
cod
when you
piece is
got it's
broken.
this big, you know.
my life is broken.
My life just broke. We gotta get moving.
Yeah. This is kind of going to be like a speed round, but Ronnie, thanks for sticking around with us as I'm dying.
I want to
die,
be here
John.
for your last moments, John. It was really important to me.
They're there. They're there.
It'll be all right, buddy.
I will pat you on your shoulder when you're dead.
I'm leaving that in. That was funny.
Edit
but-
point. No,
No, at a point. That was funny.
no edit point.
Trish, where do you want to start? This is our year-ish in review because of the stuff that...
God, there's so much. Can we just stay on topic here and get to the ATIF new season, because I fucking loved it. There were like so many episodes where I was like, okay, this takes me back to like season 2 and 3. Like,
And I won't say these won't be deep dives. You could find those on another podcast.
yes.
Some
but-
other one.
Oh God, the
But we'll
one with
just-
the one with the ears at the end. Just-
the Quiet Shake.
Yeah. Like in the beginning too, when Shake and Meatwad are using sign language, and Shake is just flipping him off, and Meatwad knows exactly what he's saying, and then they have to walk on the sand, and it was just so Aqua Teen, and And the show hasn't been on since the not 2020s. When did it end? Like 2014?
2015.
2015. It hasn't been on the air in like 8 years, and yet there's still that same magic there. And I was very satisfied, and I was very dissatisfied that it was only 5 episodes. But I'm really hoping that the higher ups see that a lot of people loved it. At least all the fans we know loved it.
I feel like,
and they'll give it another season.
I'm hoping that too, because it feels like, especially with a guy like Mike O'Lean in charge, the guy who co-created Harvey Birdman, and he more or less said he's into the older stuff. Like, what's new is old now. I mean, this is 20 plus year old content, and it feels like it's cyclical. Like,
yeah,
what do they say? Every 20 years or something, it's the same stuff. Like,
hey, I am
retro
so
stuff
happy.
coming back.
Boot cut jeans. Hey, I am a happy camper now. I mean, I am too short for most boot cut jeans, but I love them. I don't care that they get frayed. I don't care that they get wet, and you're walking around in wet socks and wet pants. I fucking love boot cut jeans. They can stay in style forever. I said that in the 90s. I'm saying it again. In the 2000s. Hey, my high school styles, they were cute. I looked cute back then, and I look cute now, god damn it.
Okay.
Nothing's going to stop me from being fucking adorable like Meatwad, or, like, if Adam dressed up like Carl, I would be pregnant immediately. I would take one look at Adam, I would get pregnant if he dressed up like Carl.
Just a look is all it took.
He doesn't even have to look at me. He could just walk into the room and I'd be, oops, baby.
He could be looking down at his toes in those sandals.
Did I miss the classic Trish Carl rants on this show? Maybe, but probably not.
But probably not.
So
I like them.
Aqua Teen.
How do you like it, John?
I like the new series, the new episode. It feels like, animation aside, and I'll get to that in a minute, it feels like it never left. It's like, brand new Aqua Teen episodes. The animation, I can see where people have a problem with that, because I know there were some people when the movie came out, they were like, oh, the Aqua Teens look different, and all the other characters look like they're in a different movie. But what are you gonna do the same thing?
Right.
I mean, I'm struggling to get used to the animation personally. What is it? Shake has more than 3 facial expressions now. I don't.
I think
How am I supposed to
This
keep
isn't
up?
the show that I love. This isn't the show that I love. This is a new show now.
Yeah.
Meatwad can turn into more than just an igloo hot dog and Wayne Gretzky. I don't know what show I'm on.
Fine, Wayne
I'm not smart
Gretzky.
enough for this.
Yeah, I finished the season this afternoon. And it's not my favorite Aqua Teen stuff, but it is nice to have them around again.
What do you think, Ronnie?
I like the overall. I really like them. I think I don't really care about animation a ton, but the one thing I will say is that in some shots, Meatwad almost looks a little too different. Like, I feel like they did a good job on Shake and Frylock, where they look very much like how they looked before, but just in a more modern sense. But Meatwad, I feel like they're using like thicker lines for him or something, and it just kind of gives us this different kind of looking character than I'm used to. But I, for example, in the Nubis episode with the more just high-end animation, they did a funny joke where Meatwad kind of rubs his boogers on the carpet, and they only could have done that joke with that kind of animation, so I did appreciate that.
Right.
I think with like the animation in general, they only got to do 5 of these. I feel like if they got to make 10 or more, then by the end, everyone would be okay with it because they'd be more used to it. But
That's true.
Yeah, I agree with that. If there had been more than 5, I definitely would have been far more used to it by the time the season was over. Like it was a quick 5 episodes, and it was jarring Like, it looks good. It looks
Right.
fantastic.
And
It's jarring when you've been watching the show for so long and it was always the way that it was, and now it looks like this.
Yeah.
It's not bad in any way. It's just that it's odd.
And also the fact that you only really had a month to digest this, because the first 2 episodes were on one day, and then that was kind of it. They
Right.
formatted it personally, I think, because of the holidays.
Right. So, I mean, like, honestly, with this season, I say if the show doesn't come back, give it a couple of years, and people might feel differently about these episodes as they get more used to how they look. In terms of the writing and what the episodes were on their own merit, I think they were really good. I think all the episodes were doing something different. They were trying to add to the Aqua Teen universe in a way, as opposed to just like trying to cash grab on fan servicey things. Like, they really shied away from that in a really cool way and just did some kind of new stuff, but it still felt like it was Aqua Teen. It felt like it deserved to be. And yeah, I was just like, after the Anubis episode, I was like, just upset. I'm like, that's it? Like, we're done already? Like,
Yeah.
It was like starting to get really good. I feel like the episodes got better and better as they went.
They
And then it
did.
just stopped.
They did. Now, Ronnie, back to interviewing you.
Yes.
How did you feel about the second movie?
Plantasm, I liked it. I actually liked it more than Colon movie film, which I know is unpopular. The first time I saw Colon movie film was like 2008. A girl I was dating at the time, her dad was into Aqua Teen, so he had the DVDs, and that's how I watched it, because he got that when it came to DVD. And so I was kind of out of Aqua Teen for a little bit at that time. I watched the first film, and I was just kind of like I love the beginning. That Mastodon intro blew me away. I could not believe that. It was so incredible. And
Leave
the rest of the
seat
movie,
outside, run over it after the show.
Take the seat outside.
That is my theory, my mantra. Like, if you
Yes.
have a baby, don't bring it into the fucking movie theater like an inconsiderate fucking asshole. Leave the baby outside. That's what they do in Norway. They just leave the babies outside and they go do everything, and then run over it after the show.
I did work for AMC for a couple of months as a second job, but they had the under 6 after 6 rule, where if you had a baby under 6 after 6 p.m. you weren't allowed to view the movie.
I like that.
Yeah, that's reasonable, I think. But so Colon movie film, I just remember I'm like, oh, this is like, eventually it just becomes like a long episode, and I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting more of a movie experience, because I went in pretty blind to what the Aqua Teen movie might be. So I was let down because of that. It's not like I thought it was bad. I was just like, oh, when is this over? You know what I mean? It just seemed like it kept going on forever. Having said that, now I do appreciate that film. But with Plantasm, it was what I wanted from an Aqua Teen film. It was really just like a movie experience, or like a film experience, but with the Aqua Teen. So I liked Plantasm, and I understood what it was going for, and it worked for me. I know that's not the case for everybody, but
It had too much plot for me.
I mean, I could see that. That's valid if you're just used, if you
It
expect
did
to be
have
like
naked
the show.
Carl.
It did. It had masturbating Carl.
When I saw it at New York Comic Con, I'm like, Trish, you're gonna love this movie, if not for one scene.
But my husband actually works in Silicon Valley, and he couldn't focus on the movie because it was too real for him. It was
Oh shit!
it
That's
hit
funny.
home too hard. He's like, I don't want to be at home watching the Aqua Teen movie and reminded of work.
That makes sense.
So, but after the second time he watched it, he was like, okay, now that I know what to expect, I'm good. This is fun. I'm enjoying this. But I think he agreed it was too much plot. Hold on one second. I'm going to see if he agreed.
He's like, actually, it wasn't enough plot for me.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's night and day with the two movies, and I think the experiences that I have are different because I saw the first Colon movie. I saw at the premiere. They invited me to, and
jealous.
loved it. And then I saw it, and I managed to find it in Rutgers area and watched it there. And then ever since then, I've been like, where's the sound clip? Because we started the first Swimcast, and I had this really bad microphone, and I just, after that first episode, I just kept doing this. And that became
God.
and that just became shtick for the Swimcast episodes going forward. Was I like the movie,
It's just
and then
pierces your ears, doesn't it?
Yes, I like it.
it hurts my teeth. And then
Need to go to the dentist.
I can feel it in my bones.
and then the second one, watching it at New York Comic Con, was like a different experience because it was like, well, first I was exhausted, but then and the fight I had to have to get in as press because I'm like in the interview room and they're like, here's a badge to get in as press. Go up to the line. Javits Center security must not have had any discussion with Reed Pop, the people who run New York Comic Con, and we're like, oh, you gotta go on the regular line. I'm like, no. So anyway, that was the thing. Not getting into detail with that because that was too dramatic. But
Too emotional.
getting into the room and then getting to watch the movie and to our points, it was a lot more plot. So you had to really think about it. So that's when I ended up getting the movie on Blu-ray, watched it again, and I'm like, oh yeah, I get this movie. It's, yes, it does have different animation. Yes, it does have more of a plot, but it's different. Mm-hmm. It's like two different movies. It's night and day. Aqua Teen colon movie was basically meant to be crazy, go nuts, whatever. And, and plus I think the fact that this was colon movie was, I forget the name of the production studio, but this was Warner Brothers and they probably demanded more of a plot.
Can I just fill you in? Adam said both movies had too much plot for him.
Wow.
Sounds like they're just too long.
I guess. I don't know. I could watch colon movie every day.
I could watch them both. Like I said, they're different movies, but they're still fun. The one thing I was thinking
every week for Plantasm, but yeah. Okay, I'm done.
I had lost the thought and I got it back. We were talking about the Meatwad animations. I do appreciate that they kept Meatwad's stretchy mouth because that was C. Martin Croker who designed that. Whenever there was, Todd had clued me into this. He's like, whenever there's a stretchy mouth on a character, that's usually when C. Martin, Clay Croker, had done the animation for it.
So what do you mean by stretchy mouth?
I think you'll notice it more if it's kind of like the mouth isn't like, how can... Like,
can you post a picture of it?
It's Meatwad, and it's also like the mouths of... I'm thinking of the Inflatable Fuhrer episode where the balloons have like these... Like, their mouths don't like just move up and down. Like, you see the stretch come in the mouths.
I see.
I don't know if I explained that.
Yeah, I think I know what you're getting at.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's other characters that have that. But I
you mean like when Meatwad is frowning?
No, like when they're talking, you see like a stretch on their mouths. Like the top of the top portion of the mouth stays there, but like the bottom comes out. So it kind of looks like a triangle going down.
I know what you mean.
Like Meatwad's the most prominent, and then, like I said, the balloons from Inflatable Fuhrer come to mind, and I don't know what other characters have it. What else do we have? I mean, what else can we say about Aqua Teen season 12? I mean, it was great.
Did you guys have a favorite episode of the season?
I need to see them all again.
Yeah, I think I have to see them all again. What was your favorite episode, and why was it Sit Upon? Get lit upon a sit upon.
I don't. My favorite is tied between Get lit upon a sit upon and Anubis. For me,
well, like I know why. You have a special spot in your heart for that episode now.
Okay, well, so yeah, I got to do a voice on on the Sit Upon episode, but more so it's because I got the script ahead of time. So it was kind of cool to like know about the episode beforehand and then see how it actually turned out months later, because I really liked the script when I read it. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that one just feels like a classic kind of Aqua Teen episode, because it's just first of all, it's Frylock centric, which I appreciate because we don't get a ton of those kinds of episodes. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was cool they did one this season, especially because Plantasm was kind of Frylock driven. Yeah. So I was surprised to see them give him an episode here out of the 5. But I like the way that they just get screwed around with by this bike. But the Anubis episode, of course, was very fan servicey in a very cool way, where we got these just kind of like character explorations of some of the characters, and then we got to see Dewey and Vanessa actually like speaking for the first time. And I don't know, I thought the whole episode was just so tight and so well done that I can't really pick right now between the two.
This is going to sound like I'm bullshitting just because you mentioned that you had a part in it, but I think the episode that was most Aqua Teen was Sit Upon for me. Like, I loved that episode. I was like, gotta get the maple syrup. What in the fuck? Where's all the maple syrup? You know, and it was so Aqua Teen to me.
Yeah, I would say the last two were. I'm looking at Wikipedia because I wanted to look up the actual episode name. It says you're the voice of the leprechaun and the store clerk.
I did not do the leprechaun. That's a damn lie.
Goddamn Wikipedia.
You can never trust it. It's lying left and right.
We'll set Wikipedia straight, because I thought that too, actually, because I'm like, oh no. But that's pretty badass that they had you do a voice. I know I was a little like, what the hell, when I first heard it, and
that's how I was like too. I was like, you want me to do it? Why?
I'm like, Trish, at this point, Trish should have done a voice, and I said that in the last episode.
Oh, the Shaw.
But no, that
should
is
be Carl's girlfriend in an episode.
Oh my God, no! I would die. It's my wet dream.
Dave, I need to talk to you for a little bit here. So it's my wet dream to be Carl's girlfriend.
Oh my God!
If you could, write me in for that.
Look, for me, it's a lifelong dream to do anything, contribute anything to a show. But I feel like I'll get my flowers somewhere somehow. But I'll
send you flowers.
I'm not gonna push them. No, don't send me flowers, because my wife will end up killing them.
Does she? I trust her.
She doesn't trust herself.
Okay, here's something you can tell Colleen that only she will understand, and she won't really understand it.
Keep sending you cookies?
Keep sending me cookies. But also, Carl is more important to me than Rhysand from A Court of Thorns and Roses.
Oh, yeah, that's not this podcast. That's if she does her podcast again, maybe. But
if she does another podcast with the Aquatar, I have to be on that podcast, because I listened to the podcast they did just for the first book, and they kept calling her Freya. And every time they said Freya, we were going over a bridge in the car, and we were listening. Every time they said Freya, I wanted to just jump off that bridge and strangle some fish.
Oh boy. I don't know. That's neither here nor there, though. But
it is not. It is neither here nor there. But for those of you who don't know who Rhysand is, he is goals.
Okay.
But yeah, Carl.
Carl. I do agree with you, Trish, on the last two episodes. The thing that got me about Anubis is, one, I love Brian Cox, because not the weirdest show he's been on, but still funny that he was cast as the villain. And then the ending of Anubis, I was waiting for Wongburger to show up, because it just reeked of. And I did this with the movie too. Right. Before the movie came out, I had asked Dave, and he thought I was talking about Dr. Weird, but I'm like, no, Dr. Wongburger, because the whole plot of Amazing just reeked of Wongburger. But then Anubis too, the episode Anubis, it was like, oh, you bring 10 friends and you bring them here, and something, and it's like, this really reeks of Wongburger. I was waiting for the Pyramid Head to be like, I am Dr. Wongberg.
Or potentially it could have been MCP Pants because he's all about bringing your friends to something. You know what I mean?
Oh man, I was listening to the Hand Banana episode of your podcast, and you had mentioned how Hand Banana was one of the more successful villains. If they did another like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and it was him, Wongberger, and MCP Pants, I think they might be able to pull something off.
Yeah, I think between those guys, I think they could figure something out.
Oh man. But yeah, such good episodes in Aqua Teen. I mean, I really hope there's a new season.
I know, and I have no idea how to tell. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what metric they have to reach to get those. I could read you guys in my Instagram group here. I did a poll about people's favorite episodes from the season. I could read you down the list here. So
sure.
In first place we had Anubis. Mm-hmm. In second place we had Shaketopia. In third place we had Get Lit Upon a Sit Upon. In fourth place, A Quiet Shake, and then in last place, script title, The T's Are Twos, but I said it correctly instead of the twos.
They were all good episodes, but I think those last two really hit home for like the classic Aqua Teen feel.
Yeah. Which again, it just goes to like, it sucks because it seems like everybody was ramping up like on all cylinders here to start making some really great episodes, and then they had to stop right as soon as they hit like a groove.
Yeah, it's kind of. I mean, I get it, but I don't get it. The five, like why 5 and not 6? But I mean, that might just be what they were able to afford with all the hemorrhaging that's going on.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, John, you probably know, but like they kind of did 6 because they redid the animatic for the Boston episode.
I had heard that.
And they showed that at the Boston Comedy Festival, so I assume that was fit into the budget. So they maybe had a teeny bit of money left over to go back and redo that, is my guess. But I don't know that we'll ever see that or not.
It's a shame because when they first came out with the episode and they're like, oh, this will never see the light of day. And then I would ask Dave about it from time to time. And he's like, maybe if the mayor retires, maybe I could show it to you at William Street, maybe this, maybe that. And then it turned out to be leaked. Supposedly, it was leaked by people who got fired from Adult Swim.
I could see that.
And then that got put onto Archive, so it's forever. I don't know if it's still on Archive or it's on Vim. It's on one of the places.
It's got to be somewhere.
And then this new one, I haven't. People ask about it from time to time, but I haven't seen it. So
yeah, I've seen clips. Like I think it kind of follows the original leak. It's just like looks better a little bit. It's not like fully animated, but yeah, again, like so I guess they kind of did that 6th one. But if we don't get to see it, then what does that matter, right?
Yeah, it don't matter.
None of this matters.
None of this matters.
I just hope there's room for more Aqua Teen, and maybe with again, alluding to the whole what's new is old, maybe that could be like one of the staples of Adult Swim going forward. Is you got kind of a more centered Rick and Morty, you got Aqua Teen, and some of the newer shows like Teenage Euthanasia was good. I didn't get to finish.
Teenage Euthanasia is very, very good.
I didn't get to see the rest of the second season, but I saw the first few.
So good.
YOLO, everything that Michael Cusack touches is gold. I don't know.
This was the year of the chicks. Not one, but 2 shows about women. With very few male characters.
And yet only one of those is written and produced by women.
Yeah. Yeah, Teenage Euthanasia is 2 women. I am so upset that I missed that interview. Like,
I know, you
I'm
keep saying
kicking myself to this day.
Maybe
Stupid fucking cats.
Maybe
I thought she was gonna die.
Maybe they'll have a season 3 and they'll reach out to us, or maybe, like I was saying earlier, maybe go back to guerrilla style, reach out to people and say, "Hey, you want to do a podcast with people who
Do a podcast, man. Make a real cheap. Make it feel sexy.
I got podcasts here.
I got podcasts. $5, you know.
Wait, they have to pay you $5 to come on your podcast?
There was a thing that was, I don't know if you've ever come across this, Ronnie, but there's a thing out there. It's like, pay people to be on your podcast. I'm like, no.
Absolutely not. Like, what do you think? We get paid for this shit?
No.
We don't get paid. We can't pay you.
I've never been paid for this thing. Even the Patreon is only $1, and no one donates to that.
Hey, we need to contact our friends in Turkey who listen to the show.
Yeah, I don't even know who listens to the show anymore. I mean, Chartable sends me an email every week, and it's like blank. It's like, well, you had United States, but now you don't have United States.
You guys got to put up more episodes.
I know, right, John?
That's true too. But again, we really don't like I was saying before. It's either we sit here and say the same thing over and over again.
Right.
Oh, did you watch this? Like, I can ask everyone, hey, who saw the Rick and Morty's new season?
I did.
I haven't watched Rick and Morty since season 3.
Okay, Ronnie, have you seen Rick and Morty?
No, I mean I've seen the first 2 seasons years ago.
It was good. It was a lot more centered, I felt.
I felt like it was a little too silly, but I got addicted to the Rick storyline and the Rick and Morty storyline, like, and I've really enjoyed seeing how Morty has become kind of jaded, and ever since the episode where they did the purge, that wasn't the purge because of copyright issues, but I like seeing Morty's growth into like this do-gooding kind of sociopath. But
see, I feel like the first 2 or 3 seasons were a bit more silly. You know, you had a lot more episodes. And I think with Royal and Gone, thankfully, it's gotten more, they've flattened it more where it's not these super elaborate storylines. It's like even the fact that, I forget who wrote about it, maybe it was Comic Book or somebody was like, hey, we're not ending the season on a cliffhanger. We got rid of the cliffhanger from last season halfway through, which I would mention it, but no, spoil it. You know, I don't know if either of you guys tend to watch it, but
I don't remember it, but that doesn't mean anything.
You could tell me. What's the spoiler?
Okay. Well, spoiler alert. They kill Prime. They end up killing Prime Rick with the help of Evil Morty. Comes back and is like, "What the hell is going on? You guys are messing up my groove here." Because Evil Morty leaves the dimensions and he goes. I think it was like 1 or 2 seasons ago. He leaves. And
see, now you lost me. That's why I need Aqua Teen. There's no continuity. I don't have to know who Evil Carl and Prime Meatwad is.
There is continuity.
There is some
the Rabbit Mall.
Right.
Rabbit Mall. Yes.
Powerpuff
Mall, yeah.
There were the Markula trilogy.
The Mooninites.
I'm going back. I'm convinced that Aquadon convinced me that every episode minus the Markula ones are like their own pocket universe. Because that would kind of explain why certain characters are dead and then come back. I could be wrong.
Yeah. So anyway, Rick and Morty, let's wrap that up. And John and I watched it and we enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I kind of wanted
but to my point,
more dramedy out of it.
That's the whole thing. We don't do deep dives into this. It's like, did you watch it? Yes. Did you watch it? No. Did you watch it? No. Okay, moving on. And then the fact that we really, there's scant interviews that we do. Like the last one we did was, we had Rilo on, but he's more of a contributor now than a guest. Sorry, the name is blanking. I'm blanking out now.
Rilo, we don't give a shit about you now that you've been on the show more than 2 times.
Now that you're just a dirty contributor. Get out of here.
But I mean,
can't stand that guy.
I would say this at the end, but I mean, I could say it now. You're welcome to come back and help us, with episodes, Ronnie, if you want to. You don't have to do the deep dives that you do on your show.
Yeah, you can just come here and talk about your period. That's what I do.
No.
Oh, okay. I didn't know I could do that. Well, then, yeah, have me back once a month then. Jesus Christ.
So, I mean, in short, the picking apart of shows and the lack of guests, that's really why we don't do these too much. And I've said, if people want to help contribute, just hit us up and we'll try you out on the show. Or if there's guests out there, Dave hit me up. I think Dana wanted to hit me up at one point, but I'm sure you've tried to get Dana on the show.
No, not yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No,
Wait. I can play a soundbite of Dana. Hold on.
Let's hear him.
I can find it. Where is it?
It's probably labeled as cat barf.
I know. I can't find it. I don't know where it is. Oh, right there with the cat.
My cat just barfed on my stomach.
That's Dana's impression of me.
My cat just barfed on my stomach.
Yeah, that's what I sound like.
Dana's a very busy man, and we love him.
Yeah,
but
he's got a lot going on.
He's hard to wrangle. Let's put it that way.
He's on the Star Wars show Disney.
He's on every show now.
He played a Jabba the Hutt.
He played
Except
Jabba the Hutt. He
wasn't Jabba the Hutt. He was just a fat slug man. And I saw the episode on the cruise, and I was like, hey, that's Dana. And nobody was around with me. Adam was off hiking somewhere, and my parents were in their room, and I was in my room all alone on the ship, just feeling sad and alone, and like, holy shit, it's Dana. But it was also Star Wars, so I couldn't get into it, because I think that movie chain is like bullshit.
So, Dana has touched all of the pillars of cartoon/children's television.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, he's Patrick Starr's grandfather. He is the ghost in Ghost of Molly and McGee. Aqua Teen. I'm blanking on other shows. That show.
Did he get his start on Aqua Teen?
Yeah.
Wow. Aqua Teen makes greatness.
They make stars.
They make stars and starfish.
It just takes a few years. Eventually, you'll get there.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right, so we did YOLO. We did.
Yeah. We had the Venture and Metalocalypse movies. I know, Trish, you didn't watch the Metal movie because it's not.
I didn't know it was on.
It's out on digital and Blu-ray, but they never, for whatever reason, they never put it on Max. They never.
See, that's bullshit. That's how I watch everything, is on Max. Except
they never put it on Adult Swim. But Venture Brothers, for some reason, they put a number of times on Adult Swim. Not that I'm not complaining, and they have.
Do you know if Prime has it?
Maybe. I don't know. Venture was great, though.
Venture was great. Venture was very great.
Metalocalypse,
but we discussed it.
Yeah.
And it is almost 7 p.m.
Okay, fair. Metalocalypse, I enjoyed, but I feel like it was 10 years too late. I feel like it was really a wrap up for the fans, where it's like, oh, the show has been gone so long, and you guys have been begging us to wrap it up, and here's the wrap up, the end. Here's a cameo from John Schnepp at the end, which I was so happy for that. I almost cried.
Wow.
I literally almost cried when he shows up, and then at the end when it says in memory of John Schnepp.
Oh, that's crazy. That's awesome.
I almost cried because we had him on a couple of times.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, a very important part of Aqua Teen, as you guys know.
That as well. Yeah. He did the original backgrounds. He did the fake wisdom cube.
Yeah.
The
Clown
dumbass.
downtown frown.
Oh, he was great. He was great.
And what's all the nonsense going on with Max?
There's shows being pulled. There's shows coming back. There's other shows being pulled.
Why are they pulling anything out of the Adult Swim? Like, why are they pulling any Adult Swim shows out? Like, it's the only fucking place you can find Adult Swim shows.
They're doing the same shit that most of the streaming services do, where it's got an expiration date.
Yeah, What were you going to say?
reason I wanted Max, the reason I wanted that service to even exist, the reason I was excited for it, and like when it was first coming out, they let you like pre-order like your subscription and stuff, and I did that for like the intro price and all that. It's because the entire thing was they were going to have the big Adult Swim library.
Me too.
And Cartoon
Same thing.
Network stuff and all that stuff, and it's like I don't have it anymore because paying for streaming services has become like unbelievably
Everything is at least
expensive.
$15.
But like
Or $9
even
for
then,
ads.
keeping it, yeah, $9 for
Yeah.
with ads, or $15 for it without ads. But like they don't even have all the stuff I want to watch anymore. It's all just gone.
Here's my story about Max. So I got it when it came out. The same pretense that Jason just said. Oh, it's going to have the Adult Swim library. It's going to have this. It's going to have that. So Verizon Fios made me a deal. They're like, oh, if you get the HBO package, we'll throw in HBO Max for free. I'm like, okay, $15 either way, fine. So then they started pulling stuff, and I'm like, to Jason's point, I'm not going to spend $15 of this for the same HBO stuff, for the stuff that they're pulling, not pulling. We're guessing that they're going to pull it, and if I really want to watch it, there's like 500 other places I can get it. I have DVDs, I have Blu-ray, I have on demand, I have this and that. So I said, let me pull it from Verizon, and when the subscription is done, then I'll consider going with ads. So Verizon canceled I canceled my subscription with Verizon. I guess they don't tell Max right away. So I had it for a few months.
Nice.
I think I canceled I want to say the end of summer, and they finally, I think the beginning of this month, said, oh, you don't have a subscription with us. I'm like, oops, they finally caught up. So I don't know if that's a thing going forward or if that was just a bug in their system, but I'm like, oh, it was nice to have free Max for a couple of months.
All right. I just took an edible. I have to cook dinner soon.
Okay, well, the last thing I want to say about that is the whole nonsense with Max, the whole thing, the whole rumors of, oh, now Warner Brothers Discovery is going to team up with Paramount. I'm like, please stop. Please. Enough.
Yeah, does that mean you get free Paramount Plus with your Max subscription? Because that would be awesome.
It means they're going to merge the streamers again. It's going to be some kind of standalone. They're probably going to have Paramount Plus by itself, like they have Discovery Plus by itself, so they don't piss off the people who have it already. And they're going to have Max as one own service. That's probably going to be around what Disney is. What are they at, 17 now? I don't know. It's going to be it's going to be like $17 to $20 a month, and it's going to have probably some of what they both have. It's just absurd, and you shouldn't. Kids and adults alike at home don't depend on streaming for the be all end all. In fact, I wrote an article. I kind of secretly posted it at this point. No, I didn't at a point. And just give it a read. It's just like there's so many other places you can go. Don't call it quote unquote missing media, lost media.
It's not on streaming. It's lost.
It's lost media. We can't find it. There's so many other places, and I mean, I know a lot of people have said it, but maybe you got to put your pirate hat back on. I mean, I don't like to encourage it because I lose creator friends that way. I'm pretty sure that's why Dino unfriended me on Facebook.
Or was it because I told him to wash his hands after using the restroom?
No, because we were friends on Facebook a long time after that interview. I should repost that interview. I think once I get things figured out, I'm gonna repost some of the classic interviews. But yeah, that's my last soapbox. Ronnie, thank you so much for coming on and sticking out with us. Sorry if this was
Thanks for having me.
Sorry if this went on a little bit too long or there were things
this was
between. You're welcome back.
I just wish we could have. I wish we could have gotten to other HBO shows like 90 Day Fiance. I could talk about that.
Oh god.
Wait, what?
Well, Trish can talk about that. I think my wife watches
That's
that
for
from
our
time
other
to time.
podcast. 90 Day
Dude,
Cast
if you
that
have
Trish
a
and I are
90
doing.
Day Fiance Aqua Teen special, I will be on there. I will give you all my opinions. I think Angela is garbage. I hate
Yes.
I hate Sarper. I think he
Yeah.
looks like he's made of plastic. I hate Shekinah because she's just like, I like having my man tell me what to do.
bossed around.
I think it's great. I hate them. And then they're judging all the other cast members. Like, they're saying mean things about Holly because her hair is long or something.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what the fuck? Get a fucking life, you pieces of shit. You absolute pieces of dog shit.
Well, you guys
Anyway.
can tune into 90 Day Fiance Hunger Force podcast that Trish and I are starting up.
Dating is forbidden.
Yeah, dating is forbidden. Dating nationally is forbidden. Only internationally is allowed.
Oh, and Rob. Rob is a knob. Like, he is. Sophie's mom is so right. I hate Rob. He's like, yeah, I mean, like, I can't be with a girl unless she looks good. And, I deserve a girl that looks good. I'm so great. And he's
deserves
constantly gaslighting her. He's like, you're bisexual? That means you want to be with a woman. It doesn't fucking matter if she's ever been with a woman or not. That's her bisexuality, but she's into men too. And you don't fucking see her looking at other men, unlike you, always jerking off to random girls who text you and send you nudes. Like, I hate Rob.
I hate every person on that show. That's why I keep watching it.
I hope he shits
Except
his
for
pants.
Kenny and Armando. I like them.
I need
Oh
to
my
find
god,
out
I love
if
Kenny
my,
and Armando.
I need to find out if my mother-in-law still watches.
Well, you need to, because we need more guests on our podcasts. So
She'll never do a
We can have a
podcast.
90-day.
we'll get her. She's
All
our dream
right,
guest.
so can I read to you from our sponsor,
Sure.
special sponsor?
Yeah.
So the Swimcast, as always, is brought to you by Dongus Airlines. Dongus Airlines, fly the girthy skies. Dongus Airlines will get you up in the air and back down, be it by a pilot who knows what they're doing or simple gravity. You may get to your destination even. Dongus Airlines. FlyDongus.com.
Brought to you by Carl's Jr. Oh god.
Brought to you by Brondo.
Oh god. Are we doing classic Swimcast shtick for Ronnie?
It's got what plants crave.
I want the full experience.
Grape nuts.
Grape nuts help you poop.
I forget.
Oh,
what
hold
else.
on 1 second. I'm
Oh.
going to talk to Mr. Dongus.
Aquafresh. I forget why Aquafresh was a sponsor. I guess ACPM proper does have a couple of sponsors, but what is it? Digital Coffee? No.
Oh, yeah, the digital coffee.
No, what is it? I forget. I'm a lousy spokesperson. Gamergrind.co.
Yep.
Also, I'm supposedly an official brand ambassador for Bethesda gear.
Damn.
And I think I'm supposed to be supporting Dr. Squatch. Yeah, if you go to, I think it's Dr. Squatch / John J. Galbo, you can get a kickback from, or a percentage of stuff. And of course, Gamer Grind, if you give the code ACPN, you get stuff. The big thing is patreon.com/ACPN. $1 a month, you get access to the entire Swimcast library because we only have like the last 50 episodes up. It costs money to run things, you know.
It does.
Yeah, Ronnie knows it costs money to have podcasts up on our side.
It ain't free.
Podcast freedom isn't free. Podcast, website stuff, website content. I'm really considering bringing back the Centrals proper. At this point, we're doing a special project soon that hopefully will come to fruition. And on my end, that's pretty much it. I mean, go to adultswimcentral.com, go to acpnet.net. We got all the social nets up.
Flydongus.com.
Flydongus. Ronnie, what do you want to plug?
You can find me at dancingisforbidden.com and onlyfans.com/Ronnie's feet. You could find me there.
Damn.
Pictures of my
Oh,
feet.
nice.
And so much more.
I've always wanted to donate to an OnlyFans, but I'm like, who do I donate to?
My feet.
Ronnie's feet.
Donate to
Here we go.
Ronnie's fate.
This HBO subscription ain't free, John. Help me out, buddy.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's it for now, and talk to you guys next year sometime.
Yeah,
probably in December when we
happiest of New
record our
Years.
next episode.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year and happy next New Year. Happy everything.
Happy New Year.
May your 2024 be bitchin'.
Yeah. Night, everybody.
This has been an Adult Swim Central production.